Alrighty, eighth video. Let's do this. Okay, so in the topic and discussing the events of UFC 320, I find something just very interesting. Okay, we have a fighter, Merab Dvalishvili, is like what everyone said Khabib is, but actually is. Now, why I say this is because listen, I like Khabib, right? Okay, but he is the weirdest paradox I think I have ever seen on the MMA YouTube scene, right? I think we have the most overrated fighter plus the most underrated fighter. And I'm not sure which category I would put him in, right? Okay, now before you rage in the comments or leave me a dislike and how much of a Khabib super fan I am, then go on right ahead. No one's stopping you. But then after you do that, I would say hold your horses. Let me explain. Now, why when I think of Khabib, I think of two things he is really effective with, and that is trips amongst the fence and mat returns. This guy was so good at getting the opponents he fought against the fence and just taking them down, doing that until you would break, right, and he would just submit you right after, right? His whole plan was to break you, right? Now, everything I said, why do I say Khabib is also overrated? Because that's it worked, right? Well, then when we look at the resume, I will admit there were a lot of strikers. I'll give you that, and of course he did fight to tomato cans. All right, but here's the thing: I'm not saying that's bad. All right, listen. All right, I'm not saying it's bad. He did well given the opportunity he was given, which everyone in the USC has an opportunity. Sure, some more favorable than others, but ultimately everyone gets the opportunity to fight. It's just what will you do with that opportunity? Now, anyways, in the conversation of Merab being what Khabib is, there were two things Khabib's yeah, two things we look at when we talk about Khabib. What people usually say: no matter what you do, his opponents just couldn't stop it. And of course, he had the best wrestling in the sport at the time, anyway. Right? Okay, but all right, listen here, right? Okay, no matter what, he'll take you down. Right? Is basically what everyone said. Right? That doesn't that sound like a certain fight we know? Okay, take a guess and leave it in the comments. And while you do that, remember, don't do that right now. I'm talking to you. Don't be rude. Point is, you ran out of time. It's Merab Dvalishvili's. No matter what, it's just this guy has mastered the art of taking you down, no matter what you do, and with actual traditional wrestling. He will take you against the fence and just lock up his hands and pick you up, whether he has your back while you're standing or he has your back up against the fence, as he picks you up and just dumps you on your head. And secondly, which is the non-argument here about Merab, statistically the better wrestler in Khabib. Now, am I saying that makes him a better fighter than Khabib? I don't have an argument for that. So you let me know in the comments that you do. But point is, Merab has took it down every single kind of opponent. It doesn't matter what your style is. He's gonna walk you down and wrestle on you, right? That's pretty much what he's gonna do. He has so much belief in himself to lower his body towards the legs and dive on your legs to take you down. And unless you stop him, he's just gonna be doing it. I mean, he took down the strikers O'Malley, Pitor, and Corey, right? And two, the grapplers and Henry, Umar. And if you really want to as well, you can add Cody Stamen. All right, I know he's kind of a little bit of a jobber, but the kid was all right. But okay, look, all I'm arguing here is right in there. The reason why I'm adding this to now compare it to Khabib, where he took down the strikers of Edson, Connor, Poirier, and Gaethje, and the grapplers. We really only have one here that exactly stands out, and that's an RDA. Look, if you're MMA Che, then RDA is not a good win. But I mean, look, man, say what you will about RDA, but I mean, this guy was a champ and did grapple with Renato Moicano, which we do know is a very good jiu-jitsu fighter, right? And he was also able to submit Kevin Lee. Now, again, are you gonna argue me on the caliber of opponents those were? Feel free to go in the comments. But look, all I'm saying is you at least have to acknowledge that he knew what he was doing on the ground. It's not like he was a novice, right? That apparently people like to say Justin and Khabib and Justin, Connor, and Poirier, right? I mean, his grappling was pretty good, right? Mainly jiu-jitsu. The wrestling's always struggled in, right? But look, all I'm saying is, despite now, look, all I'm like arguing is, RDA is very what's the word, capable on the ground. If we're talking overall grappling, then I could just make the argument of Marab's one of grapplers wins as Henry Cejudo. So you see what I'm saying here? If we just want to not say specific styles of grappling, I could take out Henry Cejudo because, Henry was just a pure wrestler and Umar was more sambo based jiu-jitsu and judo. I mean, yeah, more style. I mean, that's how the sambo style is, right? And now you may argue, right, he fought both the styles though, and he fought every single style, right? The jiu-jitsu, judo, and wrestling, right? You'd be right, right? But point is, right, Marab's tenacity and toughness and just willpower, stubbornness, no matter who he is fighting, it's just gonna peak shooting on you until he wins, and you're either gonna break or time's up. Okay, now, importantly, why am I talking about this? What does this have to do with Gamrot versus Charles? Now I'm answering that in the form of a riddle, okay? I'm gonna need you to listen here. How do you win if someone doesn't let you play the game? Now, you may be answering, that's not a riddle. Shut up and answer the question, alright? Sit down. Let me answer for you, okay? You can't win a game you can't play, right? Now, what does this have to do with Mateusz? Look, man, if you can just take down everyone you fight no matter what, and you just always manage to find the hips, I don't know, man. It's tricky. I don't mean to sound like Joe Rogan, but, like, I don't know, man. That kid's a marauder, that's literally what Mateusz is, like, in the wrestling. That's what these fucking really good wrestlers are just going to peak shooting on you, take you down, dive on your hips, and just peak doing it. I mean, they're marauders. There's literally no other way to say it. They're going to bite down their mouthpiece, they're going to shoot at your leg, and they're going to take you down no matter what you think, okay? So, now, why I say this is you just always, because, I like Oliveira, right? Unless you're like clinically insane, you most likely like Oliveira too. But when you're always willing to find devastating positions and attacks, I mean, what if you don't get those opportunities? That's all I'm saying, man. If you don't get these opportunities when you're the best opportunity artist, I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough, okay? I'm not saying he can. It's just it's not his expertise. It's not something he's experienced in, right? It's a tough. That's all I'm trying to argue here. I'm not saying he can't. Just saying it's a tough. Because say what you will about Charles versus Armin, right? The fact that Armin was able to wrestle effectively against Charles Oliveira and bust him up with the ground and pound and able to take down Oliveira, I mean, you must be a different kind of wrestler. Now, why is this important again? Say what you will about robbery or whatever the fact, alright? Gamrot was able to take down Armin and again, not talking about who you thought won. I'm just speaking in the context of the technical decision, right? What was Gamrot's main offense to win? And that was wrestling. And had Armin, to say the least, not comfortable, not the most comfortable. The fact that Mateusz Gamrot was able to literally break Armin's stamina, at the very least, with his wrestling, I mean, if we look at Armin versus Islam, I mean, Islam really struggled hard to wrestle. In fact, the only time he really had success grappling was in the clinch, not off of traditional singles and doubles or double grip locking behind you as he drags you to the mat. Now that we know how good Armin is on the ground, I mean, you just have to, the very least, admit how tough Charles is going to struggle if he doesn't have your neck. It's tough. And then it's like, what if you go for the neck and Mateusz ends up on top? I mean, statistically, it's happened to all his opponents of Mateusz, so it's like an issue of what happens if I don't have him to tap or go to sleep? What is he gonna do to me? Now I can get up, but if I don't have the neck, he's just this fucking cheeky bastard is just gonna be doing it this whole fucking fight. It's mentally draining stuff. So that's how Gamrot can win, which he can, because look, Gamrot asked for this matchup, so I mean, he must think he could win. That's usually the criteria to follow if you accept the fight. You know, don't think any of these guys are signing up to fight Ngannou. You know, I don't think if you give them a contract like that, they're just gonna accept it. So, you know, and Mateusz Gamrot has a lot of fights, a lot of decisions, so he has a lot of experience and success in that world. So you imagine that it'd be tough for Charles dealing with that kind of pressure, especially a guy in Charles who has half the decisions period half the decisions period in his career, as Gamrot has wins. I mean, you know, Gamrot has like 12 wins by decision. So I mean, if half your decisions, I mean, that you have in your career period are half the other guy's wins, I mean, I don't know. Look, I mean, Charles has 4 decisions, losses. Mateusz has 3 decision losses. So even the loss record it's a little bit similar. So yeah, if we're just talking about strictly the path of least resistance, you would imagine it's just not to engage in a decision style, right, fight, especially when Gamrot's so good, and that's how Gamrot could break Charles. You know, like, I mean, say what, look, I mean, I'm not arguing with you that, you know, he can't win decision. I'm just saying that you would think that's probably not the main game plan though, right? But I don't know, maybe he just needs to, Gamrot, I think he just shows no fear in himself, goes forward. You know, he can't fear Charles, but as we seen with his style of wrestling, you know, he's stubborn. So maybe this will be an end of an era. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mateusz Gamrot's gonna have to be another villain in his career. I like Gamrot. You know, he's a, I think it's a lot of shit for his style, you know. But in terms of BMF, I mean, maybe he don't fight like a BMF, but his style, like, I mean, he's got the mentality of one, and I mean, he's gonna go for it, you know. No quitting this guy, just like Charles. That's why I think, for me, like, I'm really excited about this fight. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. If you have any inputs, please let me know in the comments, and if you made it this far, please comment as well, because I really want to know what kind of style is working for you guys. Because again, I'm ultimately making this channel to start a new community and stuff like that. You know, I just want to, what's the word? Show appreciation for this autistic sport that we love so much. Okay, all right, guys, bye. Have yourself a good one. Peace.